y'all. I was in my groove with the intro. The intro lit. The intro lit. Okay, Tony, you did your thing with that. We are back for another Thursday with Mind and My Own Podcast. I am your host. And it looks a little dim. Is it a little dim to y'all?
Yeah, he must have, he's always switching things in here. So we're going to let Tone does his Tone thing. And so.
Yes. I know you hear us, Tone.
He's just going to run away. It's okay. But, it'll brighten up eventually.
It'll brighten up. Oh, my God. All right. So, everybody, thank y'all so much for being here. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you are watching right now, I have some really great guests today. I'm going to go around the table and introduce everybody, and then we're going to get the conversation started. I've got Savannah here. She is a registered nurse, and she is also the founder and owner of Lupus Has No Face. I got her shirt on today. She brought me a shirt. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to give you the clap. We got my girl Serita Valmont here. She's the owner of I Am Chronically Resilient, and she is also a host for podcast Spiritual Alchemist. I am so happy to have you here, sis.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here with you as well. So it's gonna be fun.
That's a good time. It's always a good time. And we got my boy Darrell J over here. Y'all see him. He is a mental health advocate and author and so many other amazing things. Thank you, brother, for being here today.
It's a pleasure.
Awesome. All right. So I really want to talk to you guys about something that's been weighing on me. Me and Serita kind of touched on it. I touched on it with you. I touched on it with you today. We kind of just piggybacked a little on it, but we want to talk a little bit about what support looks like when you got family members, when your friends, even in business partnerships, right? What brought me to this was everybody has their own view of support. And I didn't actually really realize this until recently. When you think you're giving support, that person might not see the support that you're giving them as support. Or they might see it as you're not doing enough or more needs to be done, right? So there are certain situations in our life that can be life-changing. Like, for example, with your organization, it stemmed from you actually having lupus, right? And that was like your inspiration to push this. And I see you all the time online referencing them as your lupus warriors, right? Yes. So you wanted to support them, right?
I did.
And so that's kind of how it all came. Tell a little bit about why you got into it and how everything is going.
Okay. Lupus Has No Face was established and born because every time someone seen me or found out that I had lupus, SLE, they always said, you don't look like you have lupus. And so it dawned on me, like, what do lupus look like? There's no look to lupus, right? So a lot of people that I came in encounter with, people have passed.
Wow.
And not living well with lupus. And here I am, I'm living well with lupus. But I knew it took me, it was very hard to get there.
Yeah.
And one reason is because I didn't accept what I had. So because I didn't accept what I had in the beginning, I couldn't do better because I didn't want to learn about it. I didn't know nothing about it. I wasn't getting educated about it because I was rebellious that I had it.
Yeah.
So if you don't accept what you have, you can't start the healing process. And once I started the healing process, because I did have, and I do have support, which is amazing. My support team was crazy.
It is amazing. It is amazing.
My support team was amazing when I was growing up. It allowed me to have quality of life, and they always made me feel as though they did not treat me like I was sick. Even though I am sick to this day, I am living well with lupus. So I started my organization in 2020 to teach other warriors there is a life outside of the norm, which you're dealing with. I gotta clap for you. Thank you.
Good for you.
There is a norm, and your norm can be anything, but you have to learn your triggers. Learn your triggers. Yeah. Learn what your flare-ups is. Learn what triggered your flare-ups, and stop doing it or do it in moderation. I can't do what you're doing,
right?
And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, and I don't feel no type of way. So when you accept the people that's around you and your people accept that you're sick, then you do better as well.
Yeah. You got to come to the realization that this is the position I'm in and focus on how you're going to live with what you just figured out, what you just found out. Like, how can I live with this and still have a great life? It doesn't have to be the end for you. You can keep going, you can keep pushing. And that support system is a huge, huge part of that.
I can't stress that enough. That support system is crazy.
Yeah.
You know, it kept me grounded. It still do keep me grounded. You know what I mean? And to uplift my lupus warriors, it makes me feel very good because the only thing I'm doing is sharing my story. Yeah. And because I'm sharing my story, they feel so uplifted that they ever have felt, or even in years.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel, and it lets us know that we are doing our job. And, you know, you get resources. What doctors are good. You know, you don't just need a PCP. A PCP ain't gonna help you.
You need more than that.
You need more than that. You need specialists.
Yeah.
You know, you need good specialists because they only know what they know. They only know what you tell them. So you have to be comfortable letting them know today is not a good day.
Yeah. Now, Serita, she also has clients who have lupus. Correct. What is your experience with that, and how to support them and give them?
It definitely, because of myself personally being diagnosed with fibromyalgia as well, on top of other things, that I, you know, can definitely sympathize and also have the empathy as well, because a lot of these symptoms mimic each other. And there are some that are still a little bit off as well. And even with that, even within those, there are also different symptoms that people have as well, too. So being able to go ahead and, you know, just as you're mentioning, you know, being accepting that the fact that there's a change that I have to, you know, make in order to be able to go ahead and in order to be able to go ahead and move forward. And the thing is that initially I was limiting myself because I was going based off the initial information I was receiving. But then I had to go in and actually go into my own doctor mode, so to speak, and be like, okay, I'm going to go ahead now and research these different things and find out what's going to go ahead and what's going to work best for me. Yeah. And I'm more on the holistic side of things, where I will support you if you're on medication, but I personally do not take any medications anymore just because of how things went with my journey. Yeah. And so being able to go ahead and show like, hey, your lifestyle is actually part of why these things are occurring this way. And then also too, looking at, you know, your emotions and how that also comes into play as well too. And also trauma. Yeah. And if you don't process these different things, they manifest in the body and come out as physical ailments as well too. Right. And there's each emotion is also attached to different parts of the body. So being able to go ahead and recognize those things. And it's a lot of stuff that we're unfortunately not taught, especially in the Black community.
That's true.
Where we're told, you know, not to talk to other people, you know, whatever happens in this house stays in this house, you know, all these different things like that. Yeah. And in reality, these are pieces that now we're carrying, and then we're also passing on epigenetics. Yeah. So there's so many different layers to it that, you know, surface level, you're like, okay, I'll receive this diagnosis. But then if you take a step back and start doing a self-analysis, and looking at the different things that have occurred in your life, even looking at, you know, what was going on in your mom when she was pregnant with you. Right. What's going on with your dad, you know, when you were conceived. All these different pieces come through. Wow. And so it's very deep, and it's very it's very layered. So then when you're coming in and working with the client, you know, you really have to go ahead and, number one, establish that trust, you know, and be able to say that, hey, I am your support system for you. I do understand because I have gone through, you know, similar, you know, as you as well, and that you have a soft space to land right here.
I got Darrell here too, and let me clap for Serita because come on now, baby, don't be playing with my girl Serita. Yes, you hit on some really, really good points, honey. Absolutely. It's really just teaching them to adapt. It's giving them the information that they need, helping them work through those things that they're experiencing, helping them come to the realization that this is it. This is it. This is what I heard from both of you ladies. This is it. This is what it is. And it doesn't end here. You're still going to have the symptoms. You're still going to have to deal with putting yourself in a position to work on yourself, whether that's maybe you need to see your doctor regularly. Maybe you're finding other ways to take care of yourself, like going to the gym and eating better. You know, whatever it is that you have to do to not have to experience those symptoms so severely all the time is what I'm getting from you too. Is part of the growing process when you realize that your life is changing.
Absolutely. And from the spiritual side.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough.
Ooh, baby. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, y'all.
It's okay.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Where you at, Tom? Okay.
when I was diagnosed, I'm gonna say I was diagnosed, but you can't catch lupus. You're born with it, and something that you do too much of in a community, it offsets it.
Yeah.
So I did doubt God. Like, if it's a God, why you stopping my life before I even get the chance to live? I haven't even started yet. So I was very angry with him at one point in my life.
Wow.
Very, very angry. But like I said, once I accepted it, when I tell you faith, when I tell you faith, prayer, you talk to him like he knows who you are. There's no right way to pray.
So do you feel like that connected you more to your spiritual side?
It did.
That's amazing.
And I believe in it cold-heartedly. I believe in it cold-heartedly because he took me out of so many spaces that I could be in right now. It's ridiculous. So faith is amazing for you to even connect this right here. Like, that's 99%.
Yeah. Like, just having that, because you got to have a belief.
You have
and
to.
And not, I mean, not everybody has the same belief system, but if you have faith and you believe in something that's higher than you, I feel like that's going to help you as well along your journey. So this is another, I was going to say that's another thing. Like, everybody has values, morals, beliefs, and that also contributes to how they support you, right? So I think that's something that will come full circle. What do you think, Darrell? You over there quiet? Come on now, chime in, bro.
No, I completely agree. And just talking about support systems and things like that, actually for me, it's a bit different because my family is faith-based.
Okay.
And upon my journey, I found myself outgrowing not necessarily faith, but the traditional views that a lot of Black folk have in regards to religion, faith, and spirituality.
Yeah.
So, for me, because my book came because I went through a divorce, and at that time I was preaching, teaching Sunday school, a husband, all kind of things.
You got a lot going on.
Well, I started early, but at that time I was doing everything in which I thought was to do what is right. So when I found myself going through this, it attacked me from more than one end, because not only was my family breaking up, my foundation of faith was breaking up, because it's like, okay, I'm preaching, I'm teaching, I'm fast. We was Church of God in Christ. Well, my family still is. So, it's like I'm fasting every Tuesday and Thursday. It's like, wait, what's going on with, why am I going through this? So as I went through my journey, I had to learn who I was, because I could no longer base my identity on who I was to my family and my kids and my wife. And I couldn't base myself on who I was in the church, because those were two things that were kind of like pulled from up underneath me. So I really did have to go through, the shadow work and, the valley to discover my own personal values within myself, even without those things. And as I did that, I had a friend who's passed now, but
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, it's all good. He's still around, but
I know that's right.
But he was a person that, because everybody else that I associated with was still in church. We grew up together in church. We went through the same Sunday school, everything. But when we got into college, he went off into African spirituality. So he was damn near ostracized, before I went through it. He had already been through it. So when I found myself, because one of the most fucked up things, and can we cuss on here?
Yeah. You definitely can.
Okay.
Mine will be coming soon.
So for sure.
We got a lot of F words coming.
So one of the most messed up things is to go through something, and then the things that you found help you out are considered demonic. You know what I'm saying? So like one of the things that really helped me out was meditation.
Okay.
But I grew up in a family where meditation opened you up to spirits and demon possession. So
I've never heard of that.
Oh yeah. So that's why I really appreciate my boy. His name's Antoine Tolar. Wow. And he had already went through it. So as I'm going through it, like, fam, I believe in God. It's just that as I study and find myself and research God, I find myself growing out of the church because I see that those two ain't really hand in hand like that.
Oh, that was a hard thing for you.
Yeah, it was, that cognitive dissonance had to be shattered. Like when you learn something that destroys your belief, it actually physically hurts.
Yeah.
There's a physical pain being confronted with things that just totally nullify your whole life worth of belief.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for my boy because he was like, hey, G, I've been there. Here, look up Kevin Wesley. Here, look up, he giving me books and stuff and I'm like, okay, I ain't the only one.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like everybody having their own like structure and beliefs and how things can evolve, change with your circle, with hi Tom.
Yeah.
Yes, because I do not want to have my girl like this.
Are you trying to keep it together, right?
Right, because I don't want her like this. Like, and
we need more than that.
Text message.
I
sent him a text.
Can
you? I literally said that. But, sorry.
Her clothes.
I do.
Because I got it all right here.
I'm like, please help her, please. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. Sometimes we got issues. Sometimes we don't. Y'all got to work with us.
It's real life, people.
Yes.
But this is a real life conversation. I love this.
And even with what he's saying too, I also went through similar because I was raised initially Catholic and based off of Catholicism and the different ways that I went through my own healing journey too. It's like, okay, well, you should be in the church. You should be doing these things and doing that. And it's like, but this is not supporting me. Even like right now, for example, like my father has chronic pain. And he gets up on, clockwork every day, he does his prayers and everything. And I, said to him one time, I said, hey, I'm just curious, have you ever prayed for healing? And he just like looked at me and he's like, no. I said, so just remember, I said, you're going praying and everything. You might want to slide that one in there as well, too. And then also, too, I said to him, make sure you also remember, though, that prayer without work is also not going to help you either.
Exactly.
And so,
you said a mouthful.
And so you got to go ahead and do both. Unfortunately, of course, he's only doing one of the two. And you can probably guess which one it is, still the same. But, it's one of those things, once again, that you still, have to respect other people's differences and their beliefs and everything.
I agree.
I make sure that I respect his. He kind of is like, when it comes to mine. But I'm like, hey, also that's also being able to establish a boundary, as well. And saying, hey, you know what? I don't disrespect the Pope. You don't disrespect my beliefs. And we just go ahead and leave it at that.
People can, you got to be able to coexist with people who have different, observations, perceptions, beliefs, values, morals, all those amazing things. Like people really got to understand, everybody comes from a different place and everybody's evolving and their journey looks different. Nobody's journey looks the same, but back to sorry, I know that was long-winded. But back to what support should look like. So I kind of wanted to talk about this because everybody kind of has their own opinion. So even on social media, with how you're supporting each other, there's so many rants online about nobody's supporting me, nobody's doing this. You know what I mean? The strangers are going to be your support system. Your family and your friends may not be. Those are some of the things you see, some of the things you learn for yourself. And I just really wanted to get you guys' insight on what support looks like for you, not just social media, but just in your life, on all different levels, because we all present something different, personal, professional. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then we have different types of relationships with people too. And we just talked about how all of our relationships are different with God, or different with our spiritual connections with others, or even just how we see ourselves with that and how we support ourselves. But let's go a little bit into how we look at that when it comes to how people support us or how we support others, whether it's something that they're dealing with like lupus, or maybe they're dealing with everyday situations. No matter what it is, how do you guys go about supporting your people or your friends? What do you look for in support?
I'll go first.
Okay.
How I support my people, it depends on the title that they are to me.
Okay.
And it depends on our relationship. So if you are a friend, but you're not my best friend, you're going to get a part of me, how I like to be treated, towards what I feel fits for you. So you're not going to get all of me. You're going to get the part that I think that you need. And if you need to be supported in a different way, or I hear something different, because I pay attention to detail as well, I'm going to support you in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
So I support people by treating them how I want to be treated.
Okay, then that makes sense.
And then I also listen to what's not done to help out, to support as well. Support for me, depending on who you are, what title you are to me in my life, is showing up.
Mm-hmm.
Showing up, communicating properly and effectively with an understanding. Accept me for who I am. Never tells me,
Amen.
Never tell me I do too much, because that's a part of my character.
Yeah.
You are part of my world right now. So it should never be a time where those words are used loosely when I want support. Because if I show up, people say don't do things and expect good back, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the reality of it is you built your circle, right? You built your circle just in case you need them. And your expectations is for them to come through. Why? Because you have been good to them.
But for some reason, people have an issue with admitting that. Like, people have an issue with admitting that when they have a circle, or these are the people that they spend time with and rely on, they have an issue with saying, hey, if I do something for you, I also down the line expect it to be somewhat reciprocated in some way or a shape or form. Like, not that I want, like, not if I borrow you some money or something like that, and I expect you to borrow me some money back again one day. Not something that trivial, but like something is like, oh, you know, when I had my baby, you came to the hospital for me. You came through. But then when it was the other way around, I didn't see you here. You know what I mean? Or like, when it comes to my kids, I'm always showing up to their parties. But you never show up to any of my kids' parties, or it's never something that's like that we are on the same page about when it comes to support and different, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to your personal support.
Yes, and I feel like
I don't know. I just feel like not everybody is okay with admitting that they need reciprocation or that they're expecting that type of support.
The fact is they do want that.
Yeah,
they just not vocalizing it. And I feel like that's a big problem. And people say you shouldn't bring up what you do for others, but it's a point that I'm going to have to bring up what I did for you, because you're not showing up for me and you in my circle.
Right.
Honestly, who I am today, my circle have to deliver in some way, form, or fashion. I expect that. That's my expectation, because I have too much going on. I'm in need of each individual that I have around me.
Yeah.
And hopefully I am a need to them. I don't, if this person is just an ear and I know she hear me and she give me great advice, that's what she gonna be there for. That's what I'm gonna count on her for. I'm never gonna count on somebody that can't deliver what my expectations are. You already brought your expectations from me, and I can utilize that in some way, form, or fashion.
Do y'all think that's something that people should talk about before they start getting involved with people for real?
Yes.
Like, before people start actually really dealing with each other, do you think they should have a conversation like, this is what support looks like for me? What does it look like for you? Like, do you think that's something that people should really do? Or it should just be automatic and organic?
I think it could honestly be a little bit of both, but it's first off, like kind of taking a few steps back. For me, what it will look like is also capacity.
Yeah, okay.
You have to watch where, you know, my capacity is different than your capacity. So being able to recognize that and say, okay, we need to go ahead and discuss this, because yeah, you might be thinking I'm going to come to all these different things, but in reality is I'm not going to be able to, because my capacity is saying, hey, Serita, you need to sit down, because, or else you're going to have a flare, or you're going to have these different things going on in your body. So you need to be able to go ahead and recognize that. But then also on top of that, having communication and saying, hey, I'm having this event, I'm planning this thing, this is the date of it and everything. Is this something that you're able to attend to?
I like that.
You know, I'm just really just having a conversation, because I think a lot of times we dance around a lot of stuff that don't need to be danced around.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like just being upfront and saying, hey, this is what I'm expecting. If you're not able to come, that's fine. Let me know that as well too.
I think a lot of people get up, they get in their body. I like in the body. They get all in there, all in the, you know, everything starts to become impacted when they not getting what they want. And it becomes such a thing for them that they forget to communicate. They just get consumed with anger and emotions and frustrations that they just don't speak and say, hey, I need this type of support from you. So I think that. What about you,
So for me, I look at it like this. You gotta know who you rocking with. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, ma'am.
Can I just say something to that
real
quick? That's very general when you say you got to know who you rocking with, because you can meet someone at that point in their life and that is what you are being shown. But everybody act different to different type of situations. So when people start acting different, there's no you change. I've always been like this. You just haven't been around me in this moment, or this never have presented us at the same time for this character of mine to come out. Okay. So when people say you switch up, or I never will, or not, you have to be in that situation to know who you are at that moment.
Yeah, I get that.
I feel that.
I get that.
I feel too. Go ahead.
But I would say this: do you fuck with astrology?
A little bit, not deep, but a little bit.
So there is your big three. There's your sun, in which everybody know. There's your moon, and then there's your rising. So you got to understand, when you first meet people, more than likely you're going to meet what their rising is. So for me, my rising is Capricorn. So when people first meet me, they see like real seriousness, paternal shit,
straight to the point.
Yeah, stuff
no
like
BS
that.
Type guy.
So as you get to know me, you'll see I'm a Taurus. That's my sun sign, but my moon sign is Leo. So those are three different aspects.
That's complex, bro.
Everybody get it.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't never did y'all.
But I don't have my chart like that. I don't have it like that.
Mine broken down for everything.
Oh, I need mine broken down.
Him have those conversations all the time.
Wow. See, I don't have all that, but I want to know.
Understanding shit like that can help you objectively observe the switch up. Yeah. Because it ain't that folk. Do y'all play chess?
No.
Okay. It's like this. So everybody has a value. Every piece has a value. So say we meet each other and let's say your rising is Aries or some shit like that. They good for jumping shit off. So when we first they're just the starter.
They're the starters.
They kick shit off. So
because they're the first of the zodiac.
So it was just how you said it. It was
they're the
So they good at starting shit. Come on, man, we can do this. Da 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 da. So now you got to learn them a little more intimately.
Yeah. And
they a Virgo. So now instead of jumping shit off, they nitpicky. Hey man, I see where you fucking up.
Critical.
Right there. Yeah, type shit like that.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people don't see your moon. That's your intimate circle type shit. But by understanding that, when you peep the switch up, you just understand to change their position. You ain't got to start fucking with them. You ain't got to feel no kind of way. Okay, he ain't jumping shit off no more. He's critical. Yeah. Let me put him from a starting position to a more analytical support position.
I like this. You're teaching me.
You switch their position of where they're at in your
type shit. So it's like, I look at it like this. I tell people, you got your family, you got your friends, and then you got your soul tribe. Your friends are just associated with you by circumstance. Y'all went to the same school, worked at the same job, shit like that.
Yeah.
Your family is associated with you by blood. But your soul tribe is who's connected with you on that purpose level.
So and those are often the people you choose, right?
Type shit. So with me, like I got a higher frequency page on Facebook. I made that page for one of my first businesses that I started, but because that business kind of fell short, I kept the public page open.
Okay.
And I used that public page to post the memes that I didn't want to worry my spiritual or religious family with.
Okay, that makes sense. I know what you're saying.
So, shout out, I'm featured on that page multiple times.
right. I definitely like, and that's how I support. Because like with that page, since I started, I use that page as like almost like an online scrapbook type shit. And it grew. Like I'm at 56,000 followers on that page.
That's dope.
And that's just That's people who fuck with my other side that I can't have my family them involved in. Okay. So I got more followers that fuck with who I really am than I got friends and family. So my support is different. Like I don't expect friends and family to really get down with what I get down in, because in my circle or amongst my family, I'm a witch, I'm a warlock, I'm a wizard type shit, because I talk about the other side of spirituality. So but it's like, and that's cool, that's how they walk, and I don't want to worry them with my other side. So that's why I started that page. But what I'm saying is, by me starting a page where I could be authentically expressive, it drew the people to me that really fuck with me on that level.
Okay.
So we have to understand that, like my family, they will share my book. If I post my book, they will share it.
Hold your book up for us. And what the name of the book is?
12 Steps to Becoming Your Own Dope. It's available on Amazon. It's just my journey of self-discovery and self-love, and how I developed emotional intelligence and love of self, and how I learned how to establish healthy boundaries. All the shit that everybody now talking about.
It's like it just came out or something.
Right, when it really hasn't. It's been there all along. It's just more or less being able to go ahead and take the opportunity to do the research. But oftentimes people get so overwhelmed that they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And so to be able to have things like that, to be able to go ahead and say, hey, here you go. Here's the playbook. Now you gotta go run the play.
So you can do both. Mm-hmm. Like, you can be spiritually connected, you can be spiritually aware, and you can also still be religious. You can have both worlds, can't you?
Yeah, you can have both worlds. And one of the things I like to do for people who are still in religion, I try to show them the scriptural backing of the principles that I use.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So we have positive affirmations, but this verse says, speak those things that are not as you wish they would be. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing.
But you think it's just communicated differently?
It's just, shit. Okay.
See, this one of them jars.
So the thing is,
it's open.
The religion that we get is founded on truth. It's founded on universal law and principles, but it's been gatekept and gave into a way to us that keep the average believer dependent on the church so that they come back. No different than the pharmacy, no different than the doctor. It's that dependency shit. And that's why the average believer is, I almost failed, y'all, but I just knew if I make it to church this Sunday, I will be restored. Fuck all that. Ooh. You need to walk in your shit daily. Know who you are daily. Even when I was a Christian, I didn't have to go to church for prayer. Right. Motherfuckers called me for it. Yeah. Because I understood that I am the temple. I am the church. I am the altar. So that's what I teach. You can be religious. You can go ahead and keep Jesus. But if you weren't able to leave your problem on the altar like they say, all right, well, let me go ahead and teach you some breath work to combine with Jesus. Let me give you some meditation to combine with Jesus. Let me give you some positive affirmations and visualization practices.
So let me give you some tools and resources
to combine with Jesus.
To combine with your beliefs. Exactly. To help you elevate in your life.
Yeah. Right, because like Serita said, faith without works are dead. I feel that. I'm going to give you the blueprint to walk out the works.
I feel that. Okay. What you got? I see you over there. You just looking like you got.
No, I'm honestly, it's like it is a similar thing though. It's like when you sit back and look at it, and it's like going to, back again with coaching and everything, because I'm also a chronic pain coach, and with me being a chronic pain coach and wellness consultant, I go through those different levels as well too. So I go through everything. So it's like there's not one thing that we leave off the table. Right. So if you're sitting there saying, hey, I'm having issues with my husband, or I'm having, issues with my children, or whatever the case may be, we go ahead and we talk about all those things. But then we also have to dissect things though too, and come back to, okay, how are you operating? How are you actually doing? Yeah. Because oftentimes when you start to have different conditions and things, you start to go through having different, your thoughts start to change. Right. You start to feel like you're, you have to now depend on people, when before, you're the person that was the one to be dependent.
Or even like how she was saying earlier, how she was starting to lose faith, and all those things were starting to to come through.
No, absolutely. And even looking at, like, for example, the relationships that you have with people. Because, like, I lost a lot of quote unquote, not saying quotes, friends because of what was going on.
Yeah.
And then being able, though, to actually recognize that because of me being a good person, having that good heart, I wasn't recognizing the signs of these people using me. And when I was not able to go ahead and do the things I was doing before, that's when everything came to light. Right. But then at that same token, recognizing those were not my people to begin with. Yeah. And that really is clearing me out now, opening up space for me to be able to go ahead and have, just like how you were saying, like having my soul tribe.
Yeah.
Because like me and him, like the first time we talked, I think we was talking for a long time. And just like he comes and supports me with stuff. If I see he got something going on, I support him as well too. And that was before I even had physically met him.
Yeah.
I didn't physically meet you until like September last year, I think. And we was knowing each other for like almost 3 years at that point.
I met him on accident on a podcast.
So it's like, but the thing is that all these things, end up happening though for a reason, because the connect, you open up that space, so then that way you can have those people come in.
Yeah.
And also, support you and help you. And also, you can teach each other different things as well too.
I love that. That's amazing. Yeah. Being able to come together, being able to teach each other. I love that. Like, what you think? Because you look like you just I know you like this a lot.
No, it's not. Like, I am thriving right now.
I love it.
Be amongst people that can have a conversation about different things and respectful and not getting upset.
Yes.
Like this people don't do this.
Yeah.
Okay. Tomorrow you won't see them after a conversation because you done struck a nerve, you done told them about yourself, or you done been real. And to me, I feel like if can't nobody be real, if your friends can't be real with you, them are not your friends.
Yeah. And y'all, if you want to open your circle up, you got to be able to talk about different things with people.
But on the side of that though too, is that they're also operating out their ego.
Yeah.
It's also a different piece as well too, where they're not able to go ahead and have that conversation because they're, like you said, in your body, it's also ego.
Yeah.
And so being able to go ahead and take a step back and be able to go ahead and listen to have the conversation versus listen to respond. You need to be able to understand what's going on. And if you can't understand, it's okay to also admit that and ask the question.
Right.
And you know what? And don't get stuck on one particular piece of what a person has said either. Exactly. So it's all part of the actual communication.
I love
and that's something that we're not necessarily taught how to communicate. And it's something that, like, even for myself, I had to learn how to communicate because I was raised in the era of children should be seen and not heard.
Right.
So therefore, I did not know how to communicate my own needs until it got to a point, to a detriment where, I could have almost lost my life. And now I have to go ahead and actually communicate what I need in order to be able to go ahead and move forward.
Wow. It's crazy how some of those traumatic experiences open you up to learn more, to better yourself. And then you find yourself connecting with other people who contribute to that growth as well. That's deep. That's some deep stuff right there.
It honestly, there's a quote, I put it in my book. I can't remember it off top, but it say, the path of spiritual enlightenment is usually kicked off by trauma or something like that.
Okay.
Because
I like that.
What trauma does is it strips you of everything you thought you was. Man. So like I said, I thought I was a good Christian husband and I lost both of those. So I had to find out who the fuck I really was when I wasn't a husband or a Christian.
So who you were as a man, just who you were as a person,
just as a person, period. Because I, because I was religious, we started early. So I was married at 20, then a father at 21.
Yeah.
So I was a husband and father before I really established who I was on this earth as a man or even just a human. I went from my parents' house to running my own house and taking care of people. So, that actually was, I don't believe in like bad shit. Everything happened for a reason. So that was a point in my life where that security blanket just had to be yanked off.
Yeah.
And that's what trauma does for a lot of people. It yank your security blanket off. When you can no longer depend on the shit you thought made you who you was,
you just out here wrong.
And now you actually got to do the work to establish and find out who you are.
Yeah.
So that's one of the good things about trauma. And to like what Serita was saying, how you really find out who people is when shit change. One of the most magical things about the word no is it shows you who the fuck.
Man, you just said a word.
But on both sides, though. On both sides.
You just said a word.
On both sides. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That
was raw. That was raw.
The word no for the people that's really not your people is gonna kill them. But the word no for somebody that's always showing up is gonna kill them as well.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
I just said this to somebody the other day. I said, as soon as you tell somebody no, they forget all 100 yeses you said before that. Like, this is my first time telling you no. And it's because I really just can't do it. You know, whatever my reason is.
It's human nature. They say, like in marketing and shit like that, in the business, they're 10 times more likely to go on Facebook and talk about a negative experience
than a positive one. Or ignore the positive stuff and be waiting on the negative. I was just telling somebody that, like, they just sitting around like vultures waiting on you to say something for them to criticize.
Well, that's the other part of it though too, is that if you recognize, and I think we were talking about this earlier, like if you're a particular person that has like a light, for example, like I know I have a light and I know I have it where, you know, people watch and see what I'm doing, and they kind of are watching and waiting also for your downfall.
They sure
and
are.
It's like, you know, for me, it's like I'm always ahead of things. I'm like, hey, this is what happened. Like, you can't say nothing to me about what my life is like because you never lived a day in my life.
Yeah.
So you don't know what I've gone through and what I've had to endure to get to where I am today. But at the same token, it's like I'm going to share with you where I'm at right now, but also then show like, hey, this is how I got to this particular spot as well too.
Yeah.
So that's why I often say, you know, I'm an open book, but at the same token, I do have my boundaries. I do have where I'm like, I'll give you what I'm going to give you, but I'm not going to give you more.
Yeah.
You know, because I know what, once again, going back to capacity and understanding that, hey, these are still spots that are for me. And I'm still working through these different parts of my trauma and everything as well, too. And with, you know, going back to talking about trauma, you know, also rewires your brain.
It does.
And it's rewiring the way that you actually react to different things and what your triggers are, too. Right. And being able to go back to that and recognize like, hey, okay, these are different parts I also need to heal, because not every person that had, like, for example, not every man that got on a red coat gonna rob you. You know,
yeah,
like,
right.
Like, you know, like different things like that, to be able to say like, okay, let me take a step back and look at those different pieces too.
Yeah, I think that's important too, Serita. Good points. Good points, girl.
Just to go off what Serita said, you're right about trauma. But it's people should be transparent with their trauma. And the person that they've been transparent with, letting them know, like, listen, you know what you did the other day? That brings back X, Y, and Z. And as my friend, as somebody that cares for me, you should understand it. Even if you don't understand it and I'm explaining it to you the best way I know how, you should respect that. And it should be, you should think for what you do next time. You understand what I'm saying? So you respecting our relationship, you respecting me. And a lot of people can't take that, like telling you I have trauma. People, no, it's no, you got to respect them. You got to hear what they're saying. You got to see what triggers them. And you got to fall back and you got to let them heal their way.
Yeah, I think that that's tough for people to deal with other people's triggers. Like a lot of the times it is because they don't know each other's triggers. So like you were saying, kind of revealing those. But those can be really difficult conversations to have. But I do think at some point it is important to discuss that with people that you are really close to or you plan to have as part of your life. So I agree with that piece. Absolutely. But I think one of the hard parts about it is when you're triggered, you have to also take a step back too and look at yourself and say, why am I triggered? Right. And realize that it's internal because it's associated, like we were saying, it's associated with something else. Yeah.
Something normally it's not something negative.
Yeah.
You know, versus positive. Like I can say, for example, like I was just over the weekend, I was driving to meet a girlfriend of mine. We were going to go for a walk. And we were driving, and I was driving my car. She's driving her own. But all of a sudden, I saw a car that was parked that looked like my mother's car back when I was little. And I started to almost cry, and I had to like process and, you know, I had to just breathe and everything through it. But the reason being is that we got stuck in that car in a snowstorm. When I was like 4 years old. I completely forgot that memory because, you know, your brain also does that
pushes
to protect
back,
you.
Pushes it down.
It goes ahead and, blacks that out.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, I had to stop, after I parked, I sat there and I kept on breathing. I said, okay, Serita, what's going on? What is it that, triggered you? That was like, it looked same color, everything, it was old school Buick, and I'm like, okay, what is that? And then I had to go ahead and be like, okay, this is what it is. This is what it was.
Wow.
You're okay. You're safe. This was like over 30 years ago, 30 some years ago. it's okay. But things like that, you know, to have that self-awareness. And a lot of people don't have self-awareness to be able to go ahead and say these things and say, hey, you know what, this triggered me. They just like, well, I feel away.
A lot of people,
that's the classic thing we say as Black folks. I feel away.
And a lot of people don't realize that they will deny that they need healing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need no healing. I'm okay. I'm fine. Like, I'm over that. It's nothing that I'm stuck on anymore. But like you said, it can come up and out of you at any time. And I think you should have some people around you that care enough to say, what the hell was that? And sit you down and be like, what was that? Tell me what it is. Do you need me for something? How can I support you through this? Instead of saying, oh no, I can't mess with you no more. I can't deal with you no more. Because you just had a moment with me. That moment could have came from anywhere.
Right.
So go ahead, Savannah.
No, they're not your people. And just
they made your people.
What he said, like he knew who he was as a husband, as a father. And a lot of people still to this day don't know who they are. So I think it's very important to know who you are as a person. Know who you are without your kids, without your job, without anything. And a lot of people have never took out the time and will never will know who they actually are. So I can physically tell you, I can vocalize what I don't want you to do, or what can't happen, or what this relationship is going to look like, because I know who I am, and I know if you do things to me, you're going to bother me, and it's only going to be a time before I let go.
Right. It's going to be a time where I have to remove you.
Yeah, before I have to remove you out my life for good, because I'm telling you the rules here.
My requirements.
Yeah, and you should have requirements. A lot of people say you shouldn't have requirements out of people, and I feel like to me, I feel like you have to have requirements.
I think it comes with growth, figuring out what your requirements are, what your boundaries are. You got to go through some bullshit initially to kind of figure it out. You know, sometimes you don't realize what your boundaries should be with people until your boundaries are broken down and you realize, oh, you just overstepped. Like, you ain't supposed to be over here. You too close. You in my bubble. Right. So once you start to figure that stuff out, you got to tell people, you got to talk through it. You know, and you got to figure it out, and you got to control yourself. You can't just be out and about and triggered by stuff and blowing up on people and expecting them to be like, oh, that's an excuse. It's not an excuse.
It's never an excuse to disrespect another person.
Yeah.
And it's never an excuse to do what you said, to act crazy in public, because we should never have that much control over you that's making you act like this out in public or towards somebody that you got to apologize for lately.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to maintain your own energy. Because I don't like, you know, there's so much stuff that's floating around social media, of course. And, you know, like the one meme I always say all the time, it says, you know, I match energies and everything. It's like, nah, please don't.
Please don't. Please don't. It could be your biggest downfall.
Exactly. Please make sure you know who you are as a person, be able to go ahead and maintain your energy.
Yeah.
You know, and be able to know and recognize, okay, you know what? This is not a spot I need to be in. I'm going to go ahead and remove myself because I don't want to go ahead and go in a different direction that I'm.
And what is that, Serita? Ain't that emotional intelligence?
Delivered from, yes.
Ain't that emotional intelligence?
That's definitely emotional intelligence. Like, you know what? I don't want to go to jail today. I'm going to go ahead. I got a whole family, business, all these things that, you know, this person doesn't care nothing about, that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move over here.
Yeah.
But also to allow, you know, the laws of nature and everything to work itself out, because I believe in karma. I believe that, you know, when you go ahead and do something to somebody,
I believe in it too.
It's going to come back on you. And I'm just going to sit back and be like, well, and like I said to you earlier, I said the queen don't have to, you know, talk to peasants. You know,
don't have to talk to peasants.
I don't have to address you because it's going to get handled on its own.
Yep. It's going to get handled on its own. It's going to all come full circle because at the end of the day, I was genuine. I was real. And my intentions weren't to harm you, but yours were to harm me. And so ultimately it's going to do what it do. Right. So that's just what it is. But yeah, this is a great conversation. I wish I could talk to y'all a little bit longer. But we're gonna wrap up today's episode. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Before I go, let me just look at a couple of your notes here. Devion said it's giving clarification. She got a point. Show up and accept me how I am. Tashima, come on, gotta hold people accountable. Devion, she got the torch in her hand. She's saying what I'm thinking. Okay. I love the energy, y'all. Come on, Queen. I love it. Jay Jordan, definitely intentions need to be addressed in any kind of relationship, friendship, family, etc. automatic and organic for real, but a conversation will solidify that. All right, let's go. Hey, Ashley, thank you for watching.
Hey, Ash.
Tashima said she agrees with you, Serita. And Ashley, again, she said talk. So we talked our talk today. All right, y'all. Thank you again. This is Minding My Own Podcast. I'm your host, Kenda, and y'all have a great rest of y'all night.